everybody, it's Dana and welcome to day one of the holiday card series for 2024. Let's go ahead and dive right in. I'm using a Kristina, Werner, and Concord and 9th Winterberry stem. I love this stem. And I'm also going to pull out that Argyle embossing folder from Spellbinders. I absolutely love this embossing folder for some reason. So if you missed my last video, I'll link it above so you can see what card I also made with this embossing folder. Also going to be using some pitch black cardstock from Hero Arts, or any black cardstock that you have will do. Just going to line up the design exactly where I want it, and then I will run this through my die cutting machine. Now, as you can see, this is such a beautiful design. I think it's a very sophisticated design for any of your holiday cards. Now I need to go ahead and cut out that Winterberry stem. So I'm going to cut it out twice from black cardstock. I'm also going to cut it out from white cardstock. And I'm also going to cut the solid piece from black cardstock. All right, so we are also going to do the top layer out of some gold cardstock. This is really going to build up a very classy card. I ran everything through my die cutting machine, and when I cut out the white piece, I decided to leave the pieces in the die cut itself and then keep it right on my mat. So it allowed me to color them up a little bit easier without having to do one by one. So if you're die cutting something that you want to color, leave it in all together. And then you can go ahead and just color it up. You don't have to worry about the lines or anything. And it just makes it a little bit easier to color. I am going to use my pick tool to put back the pieces that kind of fell out, put them back in place, and then I can start my coloring. By keeping everything contained in the die cut piece itself, it allows me to color like right over the lines, and I don't have to worry about the lines because I'm not using that white piece. This is just going to hold in everything that I need to color when it comes to the berries because they are a little bit smaller. I did use 2 shades of red Olo markers. I'll make sure to have everything linked in the description box below. So I did use 2 shades of red, a lighter one and a darker one. And now I'm just going over each one of the berries with just the darker red, just for a little bit of a rim around my berries. Now you don't have to do this. I just think it adds just a little bit something to it. Now for all the pieces that I need to color that are green, I'm just going to go ahead and push them out of the way. I'll push them right out of the die cut, but I am just going to leave them on my cutting mat here and then color those up as well. Now for the leaves, I am using 2 shades of green, again, a lighter and a darker. But as you can see, these pieces are a little bit easier to hold on to compared to the berries. Now I went ahead and I colored all of the white pieces because once I took it out, I couldn't remember what piece went where. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to cut them or color all of them, and then we'll just fit them back in, the ones that belong there. And I am going to add just a shading bit of that darker green as well, like I did on my berries. That just kind of steps it up, gives it a little bit of a shading to it, kind of gives a little bit more of a deepness to it. But again, you do not have to do this. Now, if you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. If you're unfamiliar with my card series, I will link it above and as well in the description box below so you can see all of the years that I've been doing this here on YouTube. And if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button and leave me a comment below and let me know what you like about the card series. All right, I have all the pieces that I die cut out earlier, as well as that black base piece. This piece here is going to allow us to put back in all of the little bits that we die cut out. I did want to use black cardstock to layer up instead of white because you're going to be able to see this on the side of my card, and I didn't want you to see white, so that's why I'm doing black, so it blends in with that black background. I am using a set of tweezers here as well as a fine tip bottle of glue. This is going to allow me to line everything up easily. Now, if you don't have a thin bottle of glue like this, you could put some down like on a craft mat and press in your die cut and then lift it up with your tweezers. But having these small bottles really does make it easy in order to just put the right amount of glue that you need on these very thin and delicate die cuts. All right, once I have that all glued up, I can go ahead and press this down. And remember, I'm doing black on black here, but I do want this to have a little bit of depth. So that's why I'm doing two of these. Now, once I have this all glued together, I can go ahead and glue this down to the black piece, the black solid piece. So again, this is going to give me just a little bit of a valley to input all those other little pieces. And again, I want to keep everything consistent here and do it all on black so it matches my card base. Now this would be very pretty even if you did it in grays and did your top as silver. I would just suggest using some gray cardstock for your base. Now, all I have to do now is insert those berries and leaf bits back in. Now, because I have two layers of the black, I have kind of like a well that I can push all my berries back into place. But look how pretty this even looks if I kept it black. I mean, this is just such a striking card. I think it's like a very dramatic holiday card. And sometimes I just want that. I want a clean and simple, dramatic card. And because this is such a simple card to do, you could totally mass produce this card in no time. Do all of your die cutting at once, do all of your coloring at once, all of your layering at once, and you can kind of just do an assembly line like this. And it could be very quick and easy cards. You can change up the backgrounds, you can change up your colors, but it could really be a card that is very flexible on the color palette as well as having a very striking design. All right, once I get all those pieces in, I can go ahead and start putting on that gold piece. Now, again, I love the way this looks right here. Absolutely love the black outline instead of a white outline. I just really think it like draws your eye into those pieces that we colored. But again, you can do this in white cardstock and it would absolutely be just as lovely. I am going to place this right back in. I felt like I didn't have enough glue in that one little area right there. So I can go ahead and push that back in. And guess what? Because this is black cardstock, if you need to touch up any of the coloring at this point, you totally can because you're not going to see any of that coloring on the black cardstock. So I went ahead and put the glue on the black cardstock, and this is going to allow me to kind of minimize the amount of glue I might get on my matte gold piece here. So I am going to first go ahead and line this up just with my hand instead of my tweezers this time. Because I already have those two layers, it's kind of easy to put on this third layer. And once I get everything lined up, I will go ahead and put a weight on this just so all of those layers can adhere well together. So look how gorgeous this is. Again, it would look very pretty black, but I love just the touch of gold. Now we're going to go ahead and work on our sentiment. Now for the sentiment, I am also going to use black cardstock. So I just have a little strip here that I had sitting in my stash of pieces of cardstock I've cut down before. I do want to heat emboss this in gold. And I'm going to use the Kristina Werner's and Concord and Ninth holiday sentiments. I love these sub sentiments that are in here, and I think they're perfect to put on cards like this where you don't want a full sentiment or you don't want a sentiment that's going to overpower the image that you already have on your card. So this is a great time to pull out those smaller sub sentiments and use them on a card like this. Now go ahead and line that up, and I can go ahead and close my misty lid. Now, because this is going to be heat embossed, I will use my Versamark ink for this. Versamark ink, if you don't realize what that is or know what that is, it is just a sticky ink that's going to allow the embossing powder to stick to the ink. Now, with a thin sentiment like this, two tips. Stamp it more than once and use a very light pressure when you're doing this. You don't want to push too hard on thin sentiments like this because it can make them kind of bloom or kind of look a little bit distorted. So I like to go ahead and maybe stamp them twice or maybe even 3 times and just do light taps. Like I'm just lightly walking my fingers across so I don't get it to bloom out. Now, if you do, it's still okay. But if you end up doing it and you don't like it and you're wondering, like, what did I do wrong? That could be what you did wrong. So I'll go ahead and put that down on a scrap piece of paper. And then I'm going to bring in my embossing powder. Now, for my embossing powder, the color that seems to work the best when I use my matte gold cardstock is the Altenew Gold embossing powder. For some reason, I think just gives a little bit more of a truer gold color compared to like a yellow gold. I hope that makes sense. But if you have a favorite gold embossing powder to use with your gold paper, please let me know in the comments below. I'm very, very curious. I mean, I don't have all the embossing powders in colors of gold, but I would love to add some more if you guys could tell me which ones would be great. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and heat set this. And I did make sure that I had my heat gun off to the side, heating up so I can melt this rather quickly. And then we had this beautiful sub sentiment for our card. I'm just checking out to make sure it was straight. Then I'll grab my smaller paper trimmer to trim this down. I love the small Tim Holtz and Ranger paper trimmer. It's just the best for cutting down little sentiments like this. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and glue down this panel to an A2 card base. This is 4¼ by 5½. I think this will also look pretty if you matted this black piece in gold and then put it on a 5×7 card. I think that will also be stunning. Just remember when you go up in card size, you might have to add a little bit more postage. I'm not sure with the 5×7 cards, but just double check. I mean, I think Kristina Werner actually has a chart that actually has postage information on it. I think you can find it over on her blog. So go ahead and check that out because I don't want to misguide you if you made this into a 5×7 card. But I also don't want to have you spending, extra money on postage. All right, I went ahead and used a lot of glue. I did not need this much glue, but there you have it. I used some glue and then I'm going to press that down. And look how striking this is on that black cardstock. It is absolutely such a stunning card. Now all I have to do is bring in that sentiment. And look how pretty. A clean and simple card, not a lot of fuss, not a lot of work. And look how gorgeous this is. Again, if you wanted to make this in like a burgundy color, oh, chef's kiss, that would be gorgeous. You can also change this up and do it in silver. Navy blue would also be fantastic. So just pull out those colors and just work with them and see what works for you. And don't forget, last year I did an entire series on how to choose beautiful color palettes for your holiday cards. I'll be sure to link that video below too. All right, everybody, look how gorgeous this card is. And this is going to wrap up day 1. I will see you guys back for day 2 and some more holiday card making in just a few days. All right, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.